We're now recording. Let's see, lots of nice folks here. Thanks for jumping in. Looks like I got a little blurry too and out of focus. Don't know if I can change that. I think for what we're doing, it will be okay. Hey, I do want to wait 1 minute just for latecomers to straggle in. Anybody got anything to say while we're hanging around? Anybody who wants to is welcome to jump into the open seat, which just means that you'll be on screen. You can interact with me directly. As I'll mention again later on, you can always type questions into the little chat area directly related to what we're talking about or just ukulele stuff in general. So it's 12:45. We're going to get started here in just a second. 12:46, so we will get started. My goal is to keep this short like the other ones, about 15 minutes or so, and then take questions, which can go on as long as we want to. And there's Travis jumping in. I hope it works.
Hey, can you hear me?
Travis, loud and clear. How are you?
Awesome, thanks.
Good. You just want to hang out, or did you have something specific on your mind?
Nope, just checking it out. Make sure this works.
Yeah, good. Hang there as long as you want to. So everybody, welcome. We have, looks like a good little crowd from around the world. My name is Dan O'Sullivan. I'm a ukulele teacher, and I'm doing these ukulele lessons all day today on different specific topics that are, they're not meant for beginners because they're not beginner topics, but yet they are intended to be underlying concepts that I hope will elevate your knowledge of ukulele playing a little bit. So we've talked about strumming a lot in the earlier lessons today, and this one is more about the music side of things rather than the rhythm side of things. We're going to talk about working out a song by ear, which means without the music in front of you, there are some things you can do to try to work that out yourself. So let me tell you the mechanics real quick of the system here, and then we'll jump right into the ukulele lesson. There are little yellow hands in each window, and the little yellow hands are like applause, I guess. So if you like what we're doing, you can click the little yellow hands. I'm going to give some applause to Travis there just to show you how it works. There, I see the love coming through. It does my heart good. The main thing about that is I'll ask you maybe to just let me know that you can hear me. It would be a good one. Give me the hands if you can hear me. And maybe later on I'll ask you for some feedback on a couple of specific things. If you want to share this with your ukulele pals around the world, there is a big blue button that says tell a little friend. And if you tell a little friend, that will send out a Twitter message. And those folks are welcome then to come join us for our free ukulele lesson. So let's jump right in. The topic here is working out a song by ear. This is a deep, vast, meaty subject. And we could easily spend days, and that's what music college is all about. We're going to have a 10-minute overview of some ideas that you can apply directly to ukulele playing. First of all, what do I mean by playing a song by ear? It means that you can hear a song, let it digest in your brain a little bit, and then you play the song that you're hearing in your mind. So a lot of this comes from experience. You will know if you play a bunch of songs that a lot of songs have the same structure. In fact, later on, we're doing another lesson today called 1,000 Songs from 3 Chords. And it's exactly that. The idea is that there are so many songs that have similar structure that once you've played a handful of those songs, the structure becomes ingrained, and you can start to recognize when you hear another song that has that same structure. And now you could argue, are you playing that by ear or are you playing it by memory of another song? Here's one that everybody knew. I won't tell you the chords yet, but do you just recognize that, the sound of those chords? That's C, A minor, F, G7. The way I was playing it, it has sort of a 50s feel. I can double it up for a more 50s feel. My darling, I love you. Do it faster. It's more like blue moon. You didn't know what I was there for. Da, 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 da. But the point is, the sound of those chords is similar in two different songs. And those particular chords are used for thousands and thousands and thousands of songs. Once that gets locked into your brain, you recognize it when you hear it, and you have the knowledge to say, oh, that's got the same structure as Blue Moon. And so you don't really have to figure it out. You just sort of automatically know what it is. All right, so that's cheat number one. That really is kind of a cheat because you have to experience it in order to then live it. The more mathematical, mechanical way that we'll do this is by looking at the chart over here. I'm sort of going slow here to see if this works. I have to have two cameras set up on two different accounts in order to achieve this. So the chart of chords over there, don't be overwhelmed by it. There's a lot of information there, but we're going to look at a very small fraction of it, okay? Let's see. Rob is here. Steve is here. I just wanted to say hi to some folks jumping in. JCM, that's Jeanette, right? You were here earlier. I'd be curious. Give me applause hands if you've done one of the earlier lessons with me today. I'm curious to see if we've got a lot of folks jumping back in. That's great. That's great. I hope these are being useful to you. I assume if you're coming back, they are. So if you want to start working out chords, songs by ear, you can apply some simple music theory. And I know that sounds just fearful if you don't know music. Travis, I saw the face. Yeah, exactly. It terrifies people when you start talking about music theory. The thing about the ukulele, it's such a nice, friendly instrument. You don't need music theory. You don't need anything more than, 2 or 3 chords and a simple strum pattern, and you can play for days and you can have a blast. For many people, that's all you ever need. So don't worry that you must learn music theory, but I think you'll see that what I'm about to show you is so logical and so simple that it's worth being exposed to. Don't worry, I'm not going to expose myself online. Here we go. We are going to look at these chords. By the way, if you want to download this list of chords, let me type in there it is. I just added it into the chat area. It's a live link, and you can jump over to that and see an actual download that you can access that has all this same information on it. But for now, if you want to, stick with me and look at it here. It's all visible, at least as much as we need. What we're looking at here are chord families. So I really am going to keep this as simple as I can and then leave it to you to work out later on your own some songs that you would like to work out. But I'm going to give you the tools and the building blocks that you need to do this. So let's look at the line that starts with G. It's that line. That's telling us that we are in the key of G. What is a key? Todd, I think you're on this call. You have a real musician answer for us? To me, a key is a family of chords that sound good together. We could keep it as simple as that. So we're in the key of G. I'm having to poke around to make sure I'm seeing what you're seeing. And what this little chart is telling us, as you go across horizontally, that in the key of G, those are the friendly chords, the chords that sound reliably nice together. So as we go across, we can look and see that we have G, A, B minor, E minor, F sharp minor, F sharp, D7, E, and B7. Now, probably you play a lot of songs in the key of G. It's a very friendly, familiar ukulele key? Give me some hands if you like the G chord. I like the G chord. Todd says about my definition of the key. That works. There are also notes that work with each other in a logical and comfortable sounding way. Yeah. So it's a family of chords that sound nice together in a logical, comfortable way. So let's prove that to ourselves. All right. Let's take. I think I told you to look in the wrong place. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, I did. I gave you the wrong line. We want the line that starts with the letter G, and I had my little chart lined up a little wrong. So we want the one that goes G, C, D. Hey, it's live internet, people. It can't be perfect. G, C, D. We're looking at that line, all right? So now this will feel even more familiar to you because these are the common chords in the key of G. Let's prove it. If you've got a ukulele, strum to yourself a nice comfortable G sound. Probably already your fingers mechanically know what to do if you've played for any length of time. You know that C is a very common chord that goes along with the G. G and C. They just sound nice together. Songs are written that way. And then the next one is D or D7. I'll play a D7. And it resolves on G. So I'll come back to that term resolve in just a minute. But look across the list. Look across that line. G, C, D, E minor, A minor, B minor, E, G7. So in that order, they don't necessarily sound nice together. But I like this chart because of the way it's organized. The first 3 chords going across the line are called the 1, 4, and 5 chords. For now, you don't need to know why they're called that. Just know that they are. And these are the most common chords. These are the chords that we'll use in the lesson later on to play 1,000 songs with 3 chords. They sound nice together. G, C, and D. G, C. With that rhythm, that's maybe a La Bamba, right? So automatically, you could start to familiarize your ear with the comfortable sound of those 3 chords. Those are the most common ones that go together most often. So take a second, if you've got a ukulele, strum it through yourself and just hear how they go together. And the other part of it, playing by ear, you're also playing by finger. You start to get a feel for what chords often lead one to the next. And your fingers sometimes just automatically jump to the next chord because it's so common for it to happen. The next 3 chords on the line are called the relative minor chords. And what are they relative to? They're relative to the first 3 chords. We're starting to get deeper than I want to get. But listen, G is the 1 chord, and its relative minor is the first relative minor, the E minor. So listen to a G and an E minor together. G, E minor. See how nice they sound? So every major chord has its own relative minor chord. Listen to the C and its minor. C goes to A minor. C, A minor. So the relationship is the same. It's just if you start in one point, you have to move to a different point. So very succinct wrap up of all that information is that most songs you're going to come across that are pop songs, modern songs, and blues, spirituals, almost any genre I can think of in the Western canon of music are going to use chords from the same chord family, from the same key. So Only thing that you really need to know beyond that is how to sort of sense which order they might fall in. So let's talk about that for a second. Are you with me so far? Give me some hands. If I'm making sense to you, I want to check the questions real quick. Jerry says that move from G to E minor was worth the price of admission. That's quite a compliment for a free workshop. I'll actually backtrack for a second and show you that. Jeanette says, true, never thought of that. Not sure what she's referring to. That G to E minor that Jerry spotted. G, I'm just adding my little finger to make it an E minor, rather than the big switch. That's a big switch, G to E minor. Todd jumps in and says, the 1, 4, and 5 are the only major chords in a key. That's why they're the most common. The minor chords share 2 of the same notes, and that's why they're relative. And you can see that in that G to E minor. The reason I can just add my pinky is because I'm converting the G to an E minor, because 2 of the notes, as Dr. Todd points out, stay the same. The only note that changes is the one on the 3rd string, and that's where I'm reaching over with my little finger to convert it to the E minor. Thanks for throwing that in, Todd. That's great. Oh, and Jeanette's referring, got it. Yep. Okay, so as Todd points out, the most common chords that you're going to deal with are those 3 major chords that are listed first. They're called the 1, 4, 5 chords. In the key of G, they're G, C, and D. So if you're trying to work out a song by ear, that's an excellent jumping off point. Is just suppose that the odds are with you that it's going to be incorporating those 3 chords somewhere in the song. We need to talk about what happens if it's in a different key, but we'll save that for a minute from now. There's something called tension as you move away from the home key, the home chord. So let's talk about what is the home chord. This is turning into be a lot more theory-full than our previous lesson, so I hope you're sticking with me. If we're in the key of G, G is our home chord, and that's the one that sounds comfortable and familiar. As you go off to other chords, you're moving out into the dark forest of chords away from your comfortable cottage, which is your home spot of G. Hey, Dave Fox, thanks for jumping in. So listen as I play G to C. If I stop there, you're not satisfied. I've got to go back home to G. As soon as I get back to G, do you hear how it feels complete? It's resolved. G, it feels like home. We're back home. If I go all the way to D7, I'm much further away in musical steps, and it feels wrong to stop there. If I stop there, I've just left you hanging, and no, that's no good. Back to G. G feels like home. So as you're working out songs, you want to listen for that tension. You know, again, I'm really just touching on this in the most basic way. But you know this, you understand this from listening to music your whole life. You may have never thought about it in words before. So that's what we're trying to do here. So as we move away from our home position, the chords create tension. And when we come back to the home chord, the tension is resolved and we feel at ease, we feel peaceful, relaxed with that home chord. So now we've got a couple of things to bear in mind as you try to work out a song by ear. 1, have the song in your mind. 2, go across the horizontal list of the chords in the family. Okay? Almost all songs are going to keep in that family. Go in the order of most likely, which is left to right on this chart. If you hear a G, let's say, and it goes into that sound, you'll start to detect the difference between the majors and the minors. Major sound, minor sound. Minor is a little more tense. There's a sadness or a melancholy or a tension to it. So as you listen to songs, see if you can hear where the majors are and where the minors are. If you can detect that it's a minor, then you know that it's not one of those first three chords. Even though those are the most common, you know it's got to be one of the minor chords. Okay, so that's step 3, I think. Use the chords in the order of commonness with the logic of, is it a major sound or a minor sound? And then all bets are off. At that point, you got to start kind of working it out on your own. So one example that I thought to try and just see if we can make this work. I'm still in the key of G. Do you know this song? A long, long time ago. Long, long time ago. It's the beginning of American Pie. So I can still remember. I'm working it out with you. I'm doing it live. How that music. Now there I'm hearing it's got to be a minor. Music. It's not A minor. How that music used to make me smile. And there's D. And this is a beautiful example because it's hanging on that D chord. If you stop there, it wouldn't feel done. It's got to go back to G for the next part. I knew if I... So I don't want to go through the whole song. I just wanted to point out how you can... Let's do a simpler one. Let's do like, Oh My Darling Clementine. So what's our... Somebody type it in. What key are we in? We've been talking about it all this time. Come on, you ninnies. What key are we in? G? Thanks. So it came in all at once. So what chord are we going to start on 99% of the time if we're in the key of G? I'll give you a hint. It's the 1 chord, and that is G. Okay, it's called 1, not because it's the first chord, but it happens to often be the first chord. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. So that's what you do. You sing until it sounds wrong, and it still sounded right. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Does it change there? Clementine. So I felt the change. It had to change. And I wound up changing it to the D, D7. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine. You can hear it if I don't change. Time, there it is. You are lost and still stays on the D. It still sounds right to me. You are lost and gone for. Is it going to change there? Lost and gone forever. Back to G. Something dum dum Clementine. So in that version, that's a 2-chord song. It was just the G and the D, which you can see on our chart are the 1 and 5 chords. S. French, cool to see the process in action. Thank you very much. So I don't want to take too much of your time, and I feel like we've gone actually a little deeper than I meant to on this. But that process that we just went through with Clementine is the process. With this chart of information kind of as the background mechanically of how to do it, the ear process is to play, to sing until it sounds wrong, and then when you reach the spot where it's wrong, to find the next chord. And the next chord is going to be one of the ones on your list 99% of the time. I have one more point to point out about this, and I'm happy to take questions on this subject. Before I make my last point, let me just say, if anybody wants to jump in and interact with me, you're welcome to do so by clicking the join button. You can also type in questions over to the side. I'm doing these lessons 1 an hour all day today. I think we have 2 more. The next one is, I'm using my other screen. I can't tell you what the next one is, but it's how to strum like a drummer. And we're going back to strumming for a new idea, another way to think about drumming. So another one after that is back to melody playing, 1,000 songs with 3 chords. And that's the next hour and the hour after that on the 45. So I hope you can come back and join us. I have a place online called theukulele.com where I teach ukulele lessons. Little mini video lessons are sent to you each morning. Several of the people who are on the call right now are members of the Uke Club. Glad to have you guys here. And I have one more thing to mention about this lesson, and then we'll just open it up for questions. What do you do if the first chord is not G? What do you do if the first chord is, let's say, C? Well, first of all, how do you know? If you're playing along to a record or something, you've got to just test against the record until you find that first chord. If you're singing, let's say, go back to Oh My Darling Clementine, you might want to not start on G because it's not a good singing key for you. It's not really for me for this song. Let's go to C. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling. Well, by making my first chord different, I've changed keys. I've gone from G as my first chord and G as my key, my family of chords. Now I've gone to C and made that my first chord. And so C becomes my family of chords. So we can look at our chart, and instead of using the G chart, we'll use the C, the line that goes across from C. So can you see how they're lined up? Before, when we were using G for Clementine, our 2 chords were G and D. So if our first chord shifts to C, what's our next chord going to shift to? Type it in. Somebody's going to win today's door prize for typing it in first. What's the other chord in Clementine if our first chord is the chord of C? Anybody got it? Oh, my darling, G. S French is the winner. Oh, my darling, Clementine. See there? So you can see how the chords line up vertically. The choice that you make will always fall in the same spot, but it's going to vary depending on which key you're in. If you're in G for Clementine, it's going to jump to the D. If you're starting on C for Clementine, you're going to jump to the D. So you might choose to alter your key because you want to play easier chords, or to match your singing voice, or to match another instrument that you're playing with. So it's really great to have a little chart like this where you can just glance down, see what the family of chords are likely to be. So I want to respect your time and wrap it up there. I'm going to stick around for another minute or two to take any questions that come up. I'll invite you back to our next session today at 1:45 Eastern Time, how to strum like a drummer, the Keith Moon technique of ukulele playing. You're welcome, Jeanette. Thanks for saying thanks. Hope to see you again soon. That's our official lesson. And thanks to one and all. I'm just checking to see real quick where we have people showing up from. It's kind of exciting to me to see people from around the globe. 38 viewers. Very nice. Well, it looks like there aren't any questions rolling in. So thank you for joining me for this quick little lesson. Hope to see you for the next one. If you want to check out theukulele.com, we'd love to have you over there too. Thanks. Talk to you soon. You're welcome, Travis. Yeah, glad we got it all working out. The system is pretty great once it's working, and it's been almost flawless today. Okay, thanks, everybody. Talk to you.